Hello, welcome again to Willow Talk. Welcome for the first time if you're a new listener. Thanks for joining us. Adam Peacock here with Alyssa Healy. No Brad Haddon.
Thank God.
Heels. Thank God. Captain, how are you?
Very well. Nice to be back.
I would like to start this podcast by sending a shout out to our mate Hads. Big congratulations to him. He's missing today's show for a graduation. So after all these years, he's finally got through year 12. So Brad Haddon, we salute you here at Willow Talk. No, it's his youngest year 6 graduation. So it's a special family moment. He couldn't be here today. So.
I thought you were going to say that we'd lost him or something.
No,
it
he's
was a
off to
sad
university.
day. Yeah, it was a sad day. Hads is no longer with us.
Hope you're enjoying it, Hads. Of course, he goes straight to Brisbane for the third test. And that's what we're going to look ahead to. Heels, the third test of the Border-Gavaskar Trophy in Brisbane. Man, this series is going to keep on delivering all the way to the last day in Sydney, whenever that last day is.
Correct. It's good. It's been good to watch.
It's been awesome to watch.
I feel like that's all that needs to be said. It's been good.
So you've been up with the women's team in Brisbane. Have you been how have you balanced that, trying to keep an eye on the test and be transfixed by that, and of course looking after things in your own backyard?
Well, funnily enough, it helps not playing. So I was in my yellows walking laps of the field, and all I was really doing was finding out the score from all the punters in the crowd.
Because you can't have your phone, can you?
Correct. So I was walking laps, making sure the girls were well hydrated, and then asking for score updates the whole way around. And the crowd up in AB field obliged. Every time I walked past, they're like, 7-5, Mitch has got 1, or Pat's got 5. So I kept across it. But in every bit of downtime, I've been watching this series, which has been cool.
Did you see the first ball of the test in Adelaide?
I did. I watched it in the hotel room because we were about to go for a refreshing beverage. We had a spare afternoon. So we thought, we'll go to the pub and watch. Thankfully, I hadn't left the hotel yet, so I got to see that. And then by the time we got to the pub and had a drink, a few people got stuck into me, made sure that I'd watched the first ball. And anyone who sat in front of us got asked to move. The crowd around us got asked to move so that I could see the screen. So it was,
yes.
I was very well looked after.
Yeah, well, you do have a bit of an interest in the test, as much as we do as Australians, so it's completely fair enough. Now, in this episode also, we're going to look ahead to that third test, get your thoughts as well on the second test. We'll chat to Travis Head, courtesy of Instant Windscreens and Tinting. Trav, for his full perspective of everything that happened in the test and what might be. I wonder if he's sick yet of answering questions about Mohammed Siraj, because he looked like he was over it by the end of that test.
I think he would be.
Yeah.
It seems like he just wants to move on, but you can't. It's going to rear its head again.
Well, he didn't start it. It seemed like he finished it, but with what he said,
He definitely finished.
I'm still not sure what he said as he walked off to Mohammed Siraj. It was really it was not apparent exactly the words that came out of his lips. We're going to preview the upcoming BBL season. You ready for your draft?
Yeah.
This is why Hads is not here.
Yep.
He rang the school to make sure that the graduation was on this day, that he didn't have to be here for your draft.
Yeah.
And you're going to pick the team in the tournament.
I'm going to pick the team in the tournament, and I'm going to win. I think I won last time, didn't I?
Yep. You have half a chance today saying that Hads is not going to pull one.
There's only one of us. I'm sure to win.
1 of 1.
Yeah.
We're going to finish with a look at 2 cracking Shield contests. Shield froth at its best. It was earlier in the week. Sundries and Shoutouts. We've got some Shoutouts as well. That's going to be a regular thing now on Willow Talk. And once again, thank you if you've left us a review or given us a rating on Apple or Spotify. As we said on Tuesday's show, we've set our sights on 800 ratings now, murally in our sights. We've gone past Warnie's 708. On Apple, we're closing in on 200 reviews, with a few more coming through in the past week. Heels Cold Nugget 09 said, I wonder where some of these usernames come from and how they come about. Cold Nugget 09 says, Chippy's choice. Great cricket chat, easy, informative listen with solid insights on the ins and outs of world cricket. Funny listen, keep it up. When's the fans' Willow Talk T20 match at Drummoyne Oval?
Ooh.
How's that for an idea?
I really like that idea.
You captain one side,
Yeah.
Hads captains another.
Yep.
I'll umpire because I can't play properly.
Well, no, we need you involved in the game because,
Okay.
I mean, we need to show everyone how
What do
bad
you
you are.
suspect my strengths might be?
Chat. Banter.
Thanks.
I reckon you got a solid forward defence.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't say using your bat, probably hitting your pad, but that's okay.
I've watched too much Adam Gilchrist in my time as a left-hander.
Yeah, okay.
And I resemble him in no way, shape or form apart from how I stand as the
Well,
bowler's approaching.
just let it unfold after that. It'll be fine. Swing hard.
If I'm on your team, I could just give you one piece of advice. Do not throw me the ball.
Okay.
And producer Sam, who's got a bit of height about him, surely there's a bit of bounce coming from Big Sammy.
He probably bowls off spin though. You know when you see that 6'5" guy and you're like, oh, he must be athletic. Probably bowls off spin.
He's the
Leg spin, it's even worse. It gets worse.
I was just about to call him Mitch Santner, but no.
It's Suleiman Ben.
Now, back to our reviews. That's not a bad idea, Cold Nugget 09. We'll investigate. Dylan Pinky says, I don't want to know what that one means. Anyway, Dylan says, weekly pick me up. Awesome show, guys, and especially throughout the Border-Gavaskar. I want to start a petition to get Hads on Fox. Best intel in the game and easily the best commentator on Triple M. Love your work too, Peacock and Heels.
Cheers.
Keep up the great work.
Hads is on Fox.
Well, he is this week.
Yeah.
Great news, Dylan. We got the message through to those at Fox Cricket and can exclusively reveal he'll be on the commentary team for Fox Cricket in the third test at the Gabba. So there you go.
The issue for Hads doing Fox is that he has to actually watch what he says a little bit more, whereas Triple M, I think it's just free reign.
Well, he said something in the second test, and I texted him the screenshot straight away of it, and he flipped back and he goes, I didn't say that. And I goes, yes, you did.
Yeah, you
it's
did.
quote, unquote. Hads. Someone's always listening.
Yeah.
And lastly, 2 corrections from Tuesday's show. We said that the BBL starts on Saturday. It starts on Sunday. And we said the third New Zealand-England test starts on Sunday, but it starts on Saturday. We got confused. Producer Sam's owning it. He's saying, yeah, please DM and abuse him on Instagram and TikTok. But I think we've all got to own it. I read the thing out. It's Sammy on the rundown. Hey, join ownership. Sammy, it's all your fault. Test series. Let's get to it. Third test, Border-Gavaskar Trophy. Saturday morning, 10:20 local time, 11:20 for the rest of those who are
sure?
living in the 21st century. What?
I'll just double check. Is that right?
I think so. 11:20 our time in Sydney and the rest of the country. Victoria and the like at the Gabba in Brisbane. Heels.
Yeah.
Firstly, your take on the second test and the outcome of it and how the result came about.
Loved Australia's just bounce back, I think. I feel like we're all allowed a bad day or two, and sometimes in Test cricket it can only take one bad day on the field and you're or bat in hand and you're in strife, which they found. But their ability to leave all that behind and bounce back in a pink ball game, which they absolutely love. I thought it was awesome. I thought the atmosphere in Adelaide is electric all the time. Even as just a fan watching on the TV, you can feel it. So. Yeah, obviously, though, with a quick turnaround between tests, it's probably the best way to go about it is that you've played really well, bounce back to the Gabba where they know that they play well. It should be a really good week.
Yeah, but no, it doesn't feel like there's any, as great as that result was, I think the first test tells us that there's no you can't say with certainty what will happen in the third test, whereas sometimes you feel in a series the momentum has twisted.
Yep.
Felt a bit that way when Nathan Lyon went down in the Ashes. It was like, okay, this is England's chance. They're going back to Headingley, all of that. But this one, for me, it remains a total mystery about what's going to transpire.
Well, you don't really know. India have got good vibes at the Gabba as well. So heading up there, Australia obviously love these conditions, but India actually played really well last time they came out here, even after the can't wait to see at the Gabba comment. So, I can't predict what's about to unfold. I feel like it's quite literally whoever takes their chances more often than not seems to get on top of the opposition and win the game. So hopefully that falls in Australia's favour. But it's going to be tough work again for the batters up there with their bowling attack.
Just on that first day's play, and we'll get to what McSweeney and Labuschagne did to see out that day, which is so important to set the game up for Australia. But at the end of that day, where Mitch did so well, do you send him a text message of any kind to say anything in particular?
No. I just chatted to him. I said, how you feeling? And he's like, old. So that just sums it up. And everyone the next day even was like, oh, Starkey, you must be pumped. How good. And I was like, we're kind of at an age now where it's like, yeah, cool. Like, I mean, we did our job. Congrats. But I think there's something about him with the pink ball. He seems to just really enjoy it. I think the fact that it swings most of the day does help him in that regard. But he was pretty chuffed with himself. I've seen the pink ball sitting there at home, ready to go.
Yeah. Because you can have the ideal prep. You didn't quite have the ideal prep going in, but I don't know if you want to go into detail about that in any way, shape or form. But going back to what you know so well and his record with a pink ball, it just must settle everything that you've had in a otherwise interrupted preparation.
Well, yeah, it's even like as a batter, you know where you score runs, or you know an opposition that you can score runs against, and that almost relaxes you already before you've even started. So I think that may be the feeling for him at Adelaide Oval with the pink ball. He knows he's done well there. He's also had a few injuries there. I think he snapped his foot in one of the test matches there as well. So it hasn't all been glowing, but I think as soon as he gets that in his hand and he knows what his job is, and that's to swing it, he automatically gets his tail up. And then to start the way that he did, I think just gave him that extra bit of confidence as well.
So who needs a good prepper?
Yeah. For those that are wondering what the hell we're talking about, there was photos of the both of us dead on our couch on a Monday after a gastro went rife through the house. So Mitch didn't exactly have the best lead up. He took too many gastro stops, and then I'll leave the story there, and was not in a great shape. But did pretty well.
It's the perfect prep. Like after you told us that on the group chat, and then he let out the biggest Ric Flair woo.
Yeah,
when he
we
took
were
that
all
first
concerned.
swing, it was like, oh no,
we were all
don't
very
go too
concerned.
far, mate. You're in creams. It's
Yes, I will say he wasn't feeling the best throughout the test match, so he did bloody well to get through, but hopefully it's a little smoother for him in Brisbane.
in many ways.
Yeah.
With McSweeney and Labuschagne.
Yeah.
So you talked in great depth in our lead up to the second test about Labuschagne in particular. Technically, what are some of the adjustments that he might need to make? Did you pick anything up? Because he talked, as Marnus does, after it about the little cues that he tried to correct, especially before delivery. Did you notice anything, and or McSweeney, about how he went about that huge partnership towards the end of day one?
I think their patience is what stood out to me. And Marnus, he's quite a jumpy character, and he moves around a lot. But their patience, and Marnus in particular, his stillness, I think was what stood out for me. As soon as you get still and your head's still, you're able to track the ball a little bit further and make really good decisions, because as soon as you're on the move and your head's moving and your eyes are moving, you're kind of naturally going to follow the ball wherever it goes. So I thought that night's play was so important for us, and probably really underrated. After looking back at the test match, everyone talks about how the bowlers took 5 for Trav made 100 and swung the momentum. But I think those two going about their business that night to set up the game, and it's always cricket, right? You get through that period, you come out the next morning and you nick off, and because you think, oh, it's bright daylight, here we go, I'm on here, and you nick off. But I think more importantly for those two to get some confidence in what they have been doing and what is working well for them will put them in good stead. But yeah, I think the way that Marnus just went about it, he was patient, but he cashed in on any balls that were in his area to score, because he made them bowl at him, and I think that'll put him in good stead, hopefully.
A lot of chat about the chat in the test, namely Head and Siraj. We'll get to that in a second. But it kind of washed over, like what happened with that incident made us forget about how loud it was when Marnus came out, and how much they were verbally trying to put pressure on Marnus Labuschagne, all part of Test cricket. Now, given that he got through it and the test ended how it did, does that change India's approach when Marnus comes out to bat at the Gabba? Would you double down and just do the same again to try and get inside his head?
I mean, I would. It's a one-off. I mean, you could say that. You go, this is a one-off. It would almost be the same as you look at Virat. Like, he made that 100 in Perth, but then he comes into Adelaide, he's still under the same amount of pressure. There's probably a little less chatter about him, but now he's under that same pressure again. So you kind of approach it that way and go, yeah, we're gonna attack the big dogs and the ones that we know that can take the games away from us. So yeah, I think it'll be exactly the same. I think probably what stood out to me in that regard is how quickly it fell away, though. I think they went really hard, but then once a partnership started to form, it fell away really quickly. So that's probably the challenge for the Aussies, to go, how do we keep them quiet? And that's by spending as much time as we can out there and putting the pressure back on.
Now, we'll speak to Travis Head shortly. I've got a feeling when I ask this question or we bring it up, we're going to get a bit of an eye roll from Travis, because he's probably over talking about it, Mohammed Siraj, and he did handle it pretty well on the weekend, straight after the test match, talking about it. So since then, we know that Mohammed Siraj got a 20% fine of his match fee. Trav didn't have to hand over any cash, but got reprimanded, demerit point, whatever. Jeff Thompson, so Crash Craddock went out and got the quote. You know, if in doubt as a journalist, Find someone that's going to fire up about a subject.
Yep.
Usually go back to the old school guys, and Jeff Thompson is along those lines. I would rather see that, Tomo said, send off, than a batsman joking with bowlers, which I've seen a few times this summer. At least you know they are playing seriously. People who pay their money don't want to see them being matey. They want full on. I can see his point of view. Can you?
Yeah, I can see it, but I think it's an easy comment to make as a player that's, played a little while ago where things were different. I think now with cricket being as worldwide as what it is, and you play franchise cricket right around the world, you become mates with people, and that doesn't take away any of the fire or any of the desire that you want to win. I think sometimes you want to beat your mates more than you do your enemies, right? So I think it's still there. That fire is there, and I think it showed like how much that wicket meant at that moment in time. Whether it was right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It just still showed that this series means quite a lot to both teams, but they are playing it in a pretty friendly spirit, which I think is awesome. But that fire and the desire is still in there. So take it or leave it. I mean, one side's going to love what unfolded, and the other side's probably going to hate it, say it's a bad look for the sport. But there's still competitiveness there. You can see it. It's just that they're willing to shake hands and hug it out after.
When you're inside a moment that is outside the norm, when there's emotion and it's a in the moment situation, like your one over in India recently when you had a dead ball chucked at you, so you just decided to play a shot, and Travis and Siraj in this point. At what point do you look back on it and go, oh, far out, I wish I didn't do that because I just can't be bothered putting up with what happens in the fallout?
Yeah, and also probably sometimes it might not be a reflection of who you are in the moment or as a person as well. But sometimes I think in the moment you've got to think about what the repercussions are on you, and it's like 20% match fee or a demerit point.
Well,
and
that's the first thing.
Can I afford a demerit point here? And if you say yes and you carry on, then it's your own fault. But especially as a batter in that moment, I will say, it doesn't matter how many runs you've got. It seems like the bowler always has the last laugh. So when they're running up, getting in your face, it takes a lot of everything that you've got to not say anything or do anything, because at the end of the day, you get in trouble. But even though the bowlers have provoked it, so it's hard.
Australia.
It's happened a lot. It's hard. I've had to keep my mouth shut a lot.
Yeah, I guess.
I've had to open my mouth a lot too, but that's okay.
To apologise?
No, just to
the match referee?
No, to let them know that that's not okay. So get out of my face. Yeah.
Fair enough. Josh Hazlewood, Scott Boland, I can actually see them flip-flopping throughout the series if they're not 100% on quick backups. But how do you see that playing out for the next 3 tests?
Yeah, an interesting one. I think being a side niggle for Hazlewood, it's quite delicate. So I feel like he's going to have to be really sure about being ready to go. In particular in Brisbane, it's bloody hot up there at the moment. It's humid. It's going to be a tough slog out in the field. So I feel like, and he will make the right decision based on, he knows his body quite well. So it's going to literally be, can I get through these 5 days? Yes or no? Is the extra week going to put me in good stead for Boxing Day? So Hazlewood, I think, has the right to decide that. I think he's earned that right. And as good as Scotty Boland is, I think he's aware of that too, that, he's next in line. And if it means Hoff plays and doesn't play Melbourne, then Scotty Boland's sticking his hand up to play the MCG. So, I see the four of them sort of rotating. 3 of them? 4 of them rotating through. There's 4.
Yeah. Just don't bring up Mitch's name when it comes to rotation in the Boxing Day
no,
test.
No, he won't like that.
No.
But, I mean, what a blessing to have that you can bring Scott Boland in, takes a wicket on his first ball. More often than not, how good.
Yeah. Awesome. As we sit here right now, it's Josh Hazlewood looking likely to play at the Gabba. Looks like he's jumped through all the hoops he needs to, but things happen. And if you know by now what exactly is happening and you've just sat through the last minute and a half, well, apologies. Anyway, does India stick with Rohit Sharma in the middle order? That seems to be the big question about their selection. It could get even bigger if Jasprit Bumrah, who there's no absolute certainty that he's 100%. There seems to be some concerns there. With no Mohammed Shami, that is a mortal blow to their chances in the series, notwithstanding what happened 3 years ago when they had mortal blow after mortal blow. But is it Rohit? That's the big question for you?
Yeah, I think he'll stay. I think whether that's a big adjustment for him or not, I'm not sure. It seems like that's distracting him more than whatever else is playing out. But in my mind, I think he's got to stay there. The other two have done a really good job. They're quite settled there. They seem to work really well together as well, which I like. And for someone like Rohit, surely that just frees him up to play his natural game, to come out and attack. So I don't mind it, but it's just going to be whether or not the skipper wants to bat there or not, really.
Yeah, and it looks like they found one in Reddy. Ashwin, Washington Sundar, who was amazing at the Gabba test a few years ago. But the big question out of the second test is, how do you support Bumrah with your two quicks? I don't know what they do there. Have you got any clarity on that one?
Well, they've got lots of options sitting on the bench that could come in and replace. And I mean, you look at someone like Harshit Rana, who's good. He's very skillful. Hasn't played a lot of Test cricket. Now he's got to go back-to-back games as well. He obviously had a break in between, but now playing back-to-back Test matches. Wasn't quite at his best with the pink ball. And then how do you bounce back at the Gabba? So I would imagine all their fast bowlers are going to want to stick their hand up and play in Brisbane. But whether or not they can do the job to support Bumrah or not, I'm not sure. But I feel like they've really lacked that impetus with the spinner in particular. It seems to be Ashwin does take a lot of pressure himself off Bumrah and the other bowlers by bowling, sticking at one end and bowling really well. So whether they stick with him or go back to Sundar, I'm not sure, but I feel like they play a really crucial role, in particular in most places around Australia. But I think at the Gabba as well, if you can sort of stem the flow at one end, it creates opportunities at the other.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. No doubt you're tipping Australia, otherwise Mitch is going to change the locks on you. But or you might change the locks on you, I don't know. But what is the big adjustment that both teams need to make going into red ball, high humidity, Gabba track, as opposed to what happened last weekend in Adelaide?
Just conditions are going to be very different, I feel. I think the wicket tends to get quicker and quicker up at the Gabba. It's almost like that tennis ball-y bounce early. Does a lot with the new ball. But if you can get through that first day, comes sort of a bit of a batting paradise over time. So, but from being in Brisbane last week, the humidity was through the roof. It was stinking hot. So knowing that it's a pretty quick turnaround between tests, I think that's going to be the biggest shift for everyone to just manage themselves in that regard.
So 4-day test, we brought it up earlier in the week when Ben Horn was in Heels. We spoke on Tuesday's show. We put a poll up on our Instagram page asking if it's time to move to 4-day tests or stick with 5 days. Glad I brought it up. 86% said 5 days. Yeah. Thanks very much. Stop talking about it.
Yeah, so, correct.
You with it?
Well, as someone who plays 4-day tests, I don't like it. So why would I force that on anybody else?
Fair enough. Let's get to our special guest, shall we? Travis Head joining us. Thanks to Instant Windscreen and Tinting. Trav, thanks for your company once again, mate. The obvious question first up. I dare say celebrations have changed a bit for you in a big style. How are these ones after your epic performance in Adelaide?
It was a good afternoon. Spent a bit of time obviously with obviously everyone that got on the grounds. We signed a few autographs and whatnot. It was a pretty cool photo of everyone on the ground, and nice that we're able to I guess an early finish, but everyone was able to enjoy their afternoon, it looked like, and they kept the back open for most of the people. So I think the crowd obviously enjoyed it first most of all, and then I shared a nice bit of time with the family at the ground, and then the boys, and then I was back to dad duty. So it'd been a big week for everyone. I think not only myself with the week leading in and being a home test, but also Jess and the family and whatnot. So a couple of long nights, but it was all good and nice that hopefully everyone's in a nice position that we move into this week and a little bit less stress.
You've changed.
Yeah, it's got to be done. There'll be a time when it doesn't. It'll come back around.
Yes, I can confirm it will happen. It will happen. Just on how you've spent the last couple of days in Adelaide before flying up to Brisbane, has it changed for you about a few people recognise you and go, oh, g'day, Trav, blah blah blah, when you're getting around Adelaide, I mean, but now it's like, hey, Trav, and people yelling out car windows when you're taking the kids for a walk down the street for a coffee or something. Has it changed in that regard?
Hard to say. I never left the house, so I just chilled at home. Honestly, I don't think we went. Actually, no, we went to did a nice little thing for with Christmas being around the corner and at the showgrounds in Adelaide. But I went under the radar, which was nice. So it's pretty relaxed in Adelaide. I don't think they're too stressed out things and nice to get around. But but no, I've been pretty much chilled at home and enjoying a bit of home time. So, yeah, I don't go out much anymore into the joints that I'd get pestered at. So, it's not a bad thing.
Well played. As someone who looks like they fly through the 90s, there's a question here that says any nerves in the 90s. But what I really want to know is what's your approach to being in the 90s? Because you fly through that and it doesn't even concern you one bit. And I watch everybody else just sort of pitter their way through the 90s and scratch their way to 100, but you're like 664, see you later.
I don't really worry about. I think I'm at a point now in my career that I don't stress about it too much, and that's probably how it looks. And in terms of the nerves, there was a little bit of nerves, but not too much. I'll probably come to the scenario of like I was lucky enough to get two the last 2 years, so third would be nice. But if it doesn't happen, at least I've entertained the crowd for a little bit and had a good time out here. And I got a bit lucky with that, so I nicked one through the slips and a bit at 80 odd. So I felt like, oh well, that's the chance to have a crack at it. But no, like I've said, I want to, if runs is presented, I want to take them. And then also I think I'm not as wound up on, and not saying that other people are, but I'm not wound up so much on individual performances as such and hundreds and all that. Like, I just want to perform for the team and enjoy doing that and enjoy what I was doing. And at that stage of the innings, it was important to put a bit of pressure back on them. And it was an important stage of the game that I felt like I could take. So no point in, I guess, playing a different style to try to get to a milestone. And but also nice to tick them off at the same breath. So yeah, I'm less stressed about it all now going through that stage.
Yeah, you seem to really thrive on taking that role within this batting lineup of let's take the game on, put the pressure back on the opposition. Is that something that, I know that's something that a way that you've always approached your cricket, but has that been a real shift for you in test match cricket to go, actually, no, I'm going to stick with the style that I've been really successful at, and also, I guess, give this team an opportunity to swing momentum back their way?
Yeah, well, I've been very fortunate. I said it earlier in my career when I guess, started playing a different style, a more comfortable style, a more style that represents myself, that I had Marnus and Smithy above me batting really, really well. And I'd walk out in some pretty nice positions to be able to move the game forward. But I guess being at 5, if it goes the other way, and I've walked out a couple of times where we've been 3 for 20, and it's like, okay, well, I might as well move the game forward. So I'm in a very nice position of the team where it probably lends itself to being more positive in either scenario, and then trying to find the balance in that middle ground. But yeah, I think you still look around the world, and you got Rishabh at 5, you got Harry Brook at 5, guys that take the game on, and those scenarios either being really aggressive, like we seen Rishabh the other night, first ball, or I watched a bit of Harry Brook the other day, and when it was seaming around, he's double stepping them and hitting them into the car park, and then also when you walk out in good positions. So yeah, every team's sort of got that person that could potentially do it. I think, yeah, I've been able to do it sometimes, and sometimes it's not going to work. But yeah, like I said, I just want to do what the team needs at certain times.
Because since you've come back into the side in 2021, you've been encouraged, and you've spoken about it a bit, about play to your strengths as much as you can. And Pat, with the leadership, seems to be all about that. Looking at the figures, when the first time around you were a strike rate of 50, now you're a strike rate of 80 since you've been back in the side. I can't imagine that's going to twist in any way, shape or form throughout your career from now on. Like, why change? Why overcomplicate it? Is that fair?
Yeah, I think, and that's what's come easy and more natural, because I haven't overcomplicated things. I probably did a little bit in my first half of my career. And then, yeah, the conversations I had with Pat and the support staff and other players was to play the game how you see it, to sum up to problem solve, and problem solving is a big one we use within the team, and that looks different for different guys. And I'm going out to try and score runs, and what that game looks like to score runs, and it's going to look different every time. And I know that it's not going to be at a strike rate 80 all the time. There's going to be times where the game's not going to be tailored to that, whether it be the wicket, whether it be the bowler bowling well. And I feel like I can work through those gears, and I'm, I guess, mature enough to be able to put the ego aside and play what the team needs. And yeah, but it's also nice to go out relaxed, and I play better when I'm enjoying things and work off the crowd and work off the energy of the game, and yeah, pick up some really cool moments where, like last week, where the crowd's going nuts and the energy's there, and I feel like I can take the game on, and it comes in more natural.
Now, obviously, the test match, you only had to bat once. The bowlers bowled twice, 2 fifers, you won man of the match. Do you think that's causing a little bit more of that divide between the batters and bowlers in the side at the moment?
Like I said the divide chat was funny because if you want to see us when we lose, you see us when we win. It just doesn't change. So
Yeah.
there's always banter between, and as you know, in cricket teams, there's always banter between the batters and bowlers. It just depends who people want to pick it apart. So I'm probably, as you know, I think I had all 5 bowlers for my wedding. I'm probably slightly skewed to the bowling side of the team than I am the batters, to be honest. I probably spend more time with the bowlers than I do the batters. So I might be the happy divide between the two of them. But that means I probably hang more on the bowlers. So look, I'm happy to take that. I think you get home test match advantage as well in that.
Sure.
There's a bit of bias.
Yeah.
So Saki and a few of the boys are stiff. I'm sure it will change in Sydney.
It might. Speaking of Sydney, one guy that's going to be utilised there will be Nathan Lyon. How did he pull up after his enormous workload in Adelaide?
He come to me on day one, I think, and he's like, "Oh, I might have," and as he does, he sort of whispers in your ear. He's like, "I might as well put my runners on," and I was like, "Yeah, probably." Like, but yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think he was maybe looking for a bit of support. Like, "Oh no, you'll get in the game, and I think you'll be right, and you've got 600 million wickets, so you'll be sweet, mate." But I said, "Yeah, no, just see you next week, mate. You'll be right."
Hey, another of your teammates, you actually, more serious tone to this one, you're actually out in the middle with Marnus for a little bit. How was he? Did he feel like he looked like he was back to his old self, and obviously looking to build on that, but out there in the middle, the chat from him, his mannerisms, it was like old Marnus?
Yeah, I enjoy batting with Marnus. We spoke about at the start of the series on who plays well together, and I think me and Marnus do statistically bat really, really well together. We've built some really good partnerships, and we talk about getting back into batting in partnerships. And I felt like when I got out there, I guess with me being able to put some pressure back on the bowlers and rotating the strike and left-right combinations and whatnot, and it brings a bit of energy to him, and it felt like he broke your game open a little bit there. He got half a dozen balls on his pads. He was able to hit for 4, and I think in the 50-run partnership, he outscored me. So he sort of got that energy, and he works off that, and he's pretty up and about, and I'm pretty relaxed about things. I give him a little bit more than what someone like Kez would, who just goes in his bubble and that. But we do work with each other really well, me and Man, and I think I enjoy batting with him and enjoy the energy that he gives, and tell him to chill out every now and then. He looked like he was back to his best and moving well, and that's what happens when you work as hard as he does. It's always going to come back around.
The ICC made their decision about the incident with Mohammed Siraj, so he's copped the 20% and a 1-point demerit point. You're allowed 4 before you cop a ban, and you've got the slap on the wrist. I want to know what it's like.
Demerit. I think I got a couple up the sleeve. Still got a couple up the sleeve.
Oh, you got a demerit, did you?
I think so. I'm not sure. I think I did.
Okay, I didn't
That's
know.
Okay.
I thought
might get a holiday at some point.
You must you've been well behaved. You don't even you're still playing the next test match. It means he's been very well behaved.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's 4 demerits and then you go.
I got 4. I got a couple up the sleeve. I think I still got one from 21 or something. Yeah.
Excellent.
Keep me out of that.
Well,
yeah.
I want to know about the going into the referee's room for is it principal office type areas for you, or is it something that you're comfortable with, or you're going in there just going, oh my God, I feel so bad about this, I'm really uncomfortable?
I didn't go in. Our team manager come down and said you've got it, and I just wanted to know how many demerits I have got in case I sign it and I miss a game, but whether or not I want to go on a week holiday or spend some more time at home or etc. So no, I just said, I looked at it. It said the words that I said, and so it was pretty obvious what I said. So we sign off and feel like sign off and crack on. It's not, I'm not too stressed about things, and I feel like it's a nice way of ending it and moving on.
I will say, smart of you to check how many demerit points that you've got, because I did that once when they just come to the change room after a game. You're all happy, you're having a beer, you've won. You sign it off. And then you do something silly again the next week, and all of a sudden you're missing a game or you get fined. So well played in the moment.
Yeah. I just wanted to check. I knew I had one up. I knew I hadn't done much over the last few years. So, and I do remember the last one I got. So, it was a while ago.
In slightly controversial question with regards to that incident. Was it kind of nice to see the Aussie crowd get behind you and behind Australia from there? I feel like we maybe got a little bit overboard, but from a fan watching, I was like, go Australia, because I feel like when we play India at home, it's a very Indian crowd. They love to support their own, but all of a sudden in that moment, there were so many Aussies that stood up and almost got right behind Trav. So was that kind of nice for you to feel that? As weird as that sounds.
Yeah, I think we've seen on the night before as well, when the beer snake come down and he threw the red ball and the crowd was like, and yeah, when you got 51,000 in the house and Adelaide Oval and the hill and everything, and by that stage of the night, yeah, probably everyone's pretty much roaring and ready to go. So, but yeah, the support's good. Probably the most perfect person next is Starkey, because I think he rides off that, and then and feeds off that energy. I know he does it when he bowls, and when there's a bit of fire or heat going in it, he walked out and smacked the first one for 4, I think, and yeah, that revved the crowd up even more. And then we weren't far away from bowling, so yeah, there was plenty of energy in that night. It probably helped us in that bowling session a little bit with the crowd, but yeah, it doesn't take much for an LA crowd. But like you said, I think we move on now. I think. Well, I hope the Gabba's a bit different. I hope it's not doesn't set the tone. I think we move on and crack on. But it's an amazing series. I wouldn't want it to overshadow anything. I said that when we had a really good week, so I wouldn't. I'm not one to try not to overshadow things. And I think it's a bit of a storm in a teacup, and we move on. So hopefully this week's different with the crowd, and we start from evens again and have a good week.
Yeah, I can really imagine the Gabba at about 5 o'clock if Siraj gets the ball in his hands and you're out in the middle, that everyone's just going to go quiet and sit on their hands, Trav. I'm not sure that's going to happen. But you're not trying to stoke it. I'm not trying to stoke it. It's it's going to happen. I can see it going to happen. But anyway, it's good theatre for us.
Yeah, good theatre. That's again, like, we can't control that. I hope we do start from square one. I hope it's not something that lingers, but we can't do much about that. But yeah, fingers crossed. And it's just such a good series. I wouldn't want something to just overshadow it with all that kind of, not childish stuff, but like just stuff that it's not necessary, I don't think, in the game. We move on.
The Gabba, when I mentioned to you and you playing test matches at the Gabba, what's the first thing that drops into your head?
Well, not the fact that I had a pretty good game in a couple of years ago in the Ashes, and the Star Wars blokes that rock up on day 2, the swimming pool that sits over the other side, and that it's bloody hot as well. So no, it's a good week. I think like obviously normally we start here and the energy around Brisbane and whatnot, and I think I think we'll get a great crowd. The energy's. I've only just got here. It was absolutely pouring yesterday. I'm not sure what it is like today, but I think we're getting good weather. But like the build-up's always good here. The crowd's always very good. The crowd's always involved. It's exciting. So I feel like we've got. Yeah, last week was awesome in Adelaide. This week's going to be great. I've already seen day 1 in Melbourne sold out, I think, and so we've got 6-7 pretty cool days to look forward to over this series. So hopefully we have 5 really good ones this week, and I know that the crowd's going to rock up, and it's an exciting test.
Just on that overall vibe of a series like this, where you're bouncing around and that the matches are coming thick and fast, obviously, and you're hearing situations like in Melbourne where day 1 sold out, they're making a song and dance about it, which is completely fair enough. How does it, like for a player inside the bubble, how does it compare to, say, when you're bouncing around England in an Ashes tour or a big series over in India?
Yeah, I guess you don't realise until you're in the moment, and we won't. Like, Melbourne will come. England's pretty much sold out everywhere we go as well. So that same buzz around a test match, I think you could feel it. It was amazing that first morning in Adelaide. I felt like you could feel it. It felt like the ground, and I've played a lot of cricket there. It felt the smallest it had felt for a long time. Like the crowd had really piled into that first morning, and it just felt like everyone was on top of you. And for Starkey to start the way he did, and the energy around that, you grow a little bit. I know that England have talked about like us going to Leeds and Manchester, like 2 Northern Test matches are a huge advantage for England. They're tough places to go to, they're tough places to play. So it felt like that last week in Adelaide. It felt like we've played good cricket, we had a huge crowd, we had great backing, and then we come to the Gabba here where yes, India had some success in the past, but we've also had great success. We've got great, we understand this wicket really, really well. We got great support. We got a great crowd. So, and then you go into Melbourne, which is one of the great weeks of Test cricket. So, you do feel it, and you hope you get some home ground advantage within the crowd and the support. So tough against India because they have such a big showing and such a big support base. So, not so it's not as much as what England have got in the bias, I guess, in the crowd. But yeah, you definitely feed off it.
Is obviously leading into the Gabba, there's been thankfully a lot of talk more about the Indian side than ours. But are you expecting any change from them, or is that something you guys don't really worry too much about until the coin's tossed and then you go, righto, they've made some changes?
I didn't worry about too much what was said for us with the 10 days off, let alone worrying about too much what India are going to do. I'll wait for the toss and then we'll see. But chat to a few of the boys. Normally the boys start trying to pick teams. You can imagine the blokes that are trying to pick teams in our team, and they'll have 3 or 4 changes and they'll be talking about things, and I'm not too fussed about it all. I think, yeah, you've seen what 10 days did for us and what everything was spoken about leading into this test. And I think, and I listened to the last 10 minutes when we were chasing the 19 runs in the second innings, and the commentary was all of a sudden, what do India do, and how do they come back from this, and where does it leave them, and what's it do? And it was like, oh my god, like now it's like the shoes on the other foot. Now it's going on the other way. Like they've won by 500 million runs last week, and then we've had a good week this week, and it's like flip the script, and now they're no good. So I think that's just going to keep swapping over. I guess the media got to talk about something, and everyone's got to write about something. 2 really, really good teams that are going to play good cricket. But yeah, I think it'll be harsh to talk negatively about what they've done, because they come here last week and absolutely flocked us in Perth. Yes, we played really, really well. They'd like to play better. We said the same thing the first week. So yeah, we come to the Gabba square on the first morning, and let's see where 5 days takes us next week.
I'm just thinking of what you said earlier in that answer, that the team pickers from Australia, I would go...
The opening batters.
Oh, the opening batter? Oh,
Yeah.
I would go Smith, Labuschagne, Lyon as the 3 ultimate team
good
pickers.
guess.
Am I around the mark?
Around the mark. Very much around the mark.
But normally the opening batters
Kez likes it as well. I think Kez likes it.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? He froths on it.
Well,
Yeah,
opening batters want to know
Well,
who they're
I
going
think
to
it's in.
face.
yeah, true.
Yeah,
True.
McSweeney, he's cut out of the same mould as Martin. So Buddha he's all over the team selection last week and what they might do. But yeah, opening batters. I guess I'm lucky at 5, not too worried about what happens at the toss, and not worried too much about what happens at the teams. So I'm lucky.
Just smack the spin.
Yeah, just hit a ball that's there to be hit. And Trav, wrapping up, I know you probably can't top what you did in Adelaide last week with the century and the little fella watching on in his first ever Test match, watching Dad. But I don't know if your attention was in any way on Bellerive and the events of earlier this week in South Australia. With that, I've watched it a few times. We're going to discuss it a bit later on, but I've watched it a few times and I still can't work out what happened. Was there any FOMO whatsoever that you were missing out in the celebration with your Saka mates there after what is nothing short of an extraordinary victory?
Yeah, 3-6 points at the end there, wasn't it? Unbelievable. I was picking the bins up, so I was walking down the driveway watching the last over. And then, yeah, I spoke to Limo because it's the last game before the breakup. So I thought a few boys might enjoy Tassie. It might have been a tough flight yesterday for a few of them. So, but well deserved. It puts us. I know that I was calling a few of the Vic boys spewing. I think it puts us top now at halfway point, which, yeah, I don't know where Rizzo was doing. I don't know where he was heading, but anyway. We'll take it. I think we've got away a couple of times with a couple of lucky little ones, and I think that's what you get when you're playing well, and the boys are doing well. They're doing a good job. So, yeah, very pleased for them, very happy for them. They played exceptionally well the week. They deserved it, but yeah, we might have snuck away with one there.
That's a good effort, your bins on your driveway. It's a long driveway.
It's an easy walk down. It's a tough one back, but it's all good.
It was a long last 10 minutes because they lost 4 wickets and there was a lot of walking out from the pavilion.
I stood down the letterbox for a little bit. Just as like, geez, that took you a while. I was watching the boys anyone that was walking past, a nice little native walk past. They're watching me, watching the Sackers leaning across the letterbox. So either that or dreading taking the bins back up the hill. One of the two.
Mate, thank you for that perspective. Thank you for the look ahead to the Gabba. Can't wait to see what's going to transpire. 1-1, stakes are high. It's great Test cricket. Travis Head, good luck in that one, mate, and thanks again for your time on Willow Talk.
Easy, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And that was Travis, thanks to Instant Windscreen and Tinting. Instant Tinting, your trusted tinting experts. Call 132 444 or visit instanttinting.com.au. He's not going to die of stress, is he, Travis?
No.
No.
Relaxed human being.
Pretty good teammate, I would imagine,
Yep.
just to be around the place and, confide in and just have a round.
I can confirm he does spend more time with the bowlers than the batters. He sticks around the big boys a lot more, which is quite funny. But he is a nice little conduit maybe between them.
I would say that's cunning then, just to be nice to when you get into the net 2 days before a test when they're trying to prove themselves. Smart play. That's what Hads did. Anyway.
He's a borderline wicketkeeper. You know how we're sort of like the conduit between. He's like he could almost play that wicketkeeper role and be like, yeah, I got this, guys, don't worry.
Fair enough. What about the Australian women? So as we sit here right now, it's the third one-dayer at the Wacker, so we'll gloss over that one. But, I mean, things have gone pretty well in the first two with bat and ball. Yeah.
Elise Perry's 150th ODI as well at the Wacker, which is a pretty amazing achievement. But, yeah, I thought the two games thus far, there was obviously a lot of chat internally, but probably externally as well about the World Cup and what we wanted to do moving forward. Obviously, different format, but knowing the next 12 months with an ODI World Cup in the mirror as well. We just wanted to keep evolving, and the team in particular has just really thrived on that and gone out there and beaten what is a world class side quite convincingly twice. So, be interested to see how the game at the Wacker goes.
Just on Elise Perry, like her career's not over, so it's not a. It's not a.
It doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. I feel like I see the end, but I feel like Pez just keeps getting better.
So, not looking back on it, the totality of her career, but from when you first met her to now, what has changed? How has she morphed into the person she is and the cricketer she is, or hasn't changed?
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
Like, I think that consistency on the field, is pretty much determined by the sort of consistency that she shows off it, and that's the way that her work ethic and her training methods and whatnot. I think it's been an unbelievable career so far, and I think people were shocked the other day that was only her third or fourth maybe ODI century, which people look at her stats and go, how? But that just screams how consistent she's been in the middle order. Probably hasn't cashed in with the triple figures, but the amount of 60s, 70s, 80s match-winning knocks that she's had for Australia over her time has led to the stats that she's got. But she works so hard at her game and is always trying to improve, and I think you see that every year, which is pretty inspiring.
Georgia Vole at the other end of her career. So up in Brisbane, two different knocks. One where she could accelerate, one where it wasn't looking dicey, but it was a small total and she played a big part in running it down. What did you notice about her and her adaptation to international cricket?
No, I think everyone's known for a long period of time she was going to play for Australia. It was just sort of piecing together a summer to almost be ready to go. And I think her WBBL this year just enabled her the confidence to go, I know where my game's at. I know what I can do. I know where I can score. And stepping out in familiar conditions at AB Field, where she's played a lot of cricket, I think helped that. And we as a group just kept encouraging her to be herself. I mean, when you walk out to open the batting with one of your best mates in Phoebe Litchfield, I think it's probably the most calming experience that you could have. So, full credit to her. I think she's a great player, and like I said, it's been on the radar for a long period of time. So for her to now get that taste of international cricket, succeed at it, keep some old people out of the team, I think
who would that be?
We'll put her in good stead. It was funny, after the cap presentation, I always go and speak to the family and congratulate them, and her mum was like, I'm so sorry. I said,
about
what
what?
for? She's like, well, obviously you had to miss out so that Georgia could play. And I was like, you don't have to apologise. Like, we're all really excited for her and I can't wait to see what she can do. So, great story, and hopefully we continue to see her in the green and gold.
How's a young player kind of not blended in, but kind of gone into the team as a person, like you mentioned before that you went to the pub to watch a bit of the pink ball test. Is she the type of character that gets in there and is organising the punters club for everyone? If you have a punters club on a Saturday arvo, or is she the type of character to just sit in the corner with her soda water and say boo and just people watch?
Pretty quiet, but there's that whole group of them around that age group that have grown up playing against and with one another that are also comfortable in one another's company. That anyone who comes into the team now is sort of like ready to go in the culture, which is really cool. They all get along really well. But pretty quiet in the corner. But I've seen her of a night out. Gets more confident as the night goes on. So we're looking forward to bringing that out.
So it's Mike Hussey type areas with an alternate personality.
Well, I won't lie. I didn't have a heap to do with her before.
Yeah.
Sort of her coming down to the Thunder, we probably crossed paths a little bit more. So she's quite quiet and reserved, but has come out of her shell since getting to know one another, which has helped a bit. And
is that younger group dominating the airwaves in terms of what's going through Spotify and the speakers in the team
Still
room?
Megan Shute. She's in charge of that.
And if you try it, Megan will just. Well,
I just don't think anyone has tried it. So it's just there. It's like a constant. So don't touch it. But they do talk about a lot of stuff I have no idea about. I will say that.
Such as?
I don't know. Like whatever they talk about, TikTok or whatever, or doing this or doing that, and I'm like.
Snapchat, TikTok.
I'm like, help. What do you mean? Please explain. Yeah.
How are you travelling? Good?
Yeah, travelling well.
I know you're travelling to New Zealand, but are you going to be wearing gloves and pads and all those things over there?
Well, I think Moon's probably spilled the beans and suggested I wouldn't be keeping in the media, so that secret's gone. I'm keen to play, and I will be doing everything to get on the field. I won't be keeping. That's where my knee's at, and what is the problem with the knee is getting down into those positions. So doing everything I can to try and get on the park as a batter and an excellent first slipper.
I was going to ask that. Where are you putting?
Yeah, I don't know.
You're going
I'm terrified.
In the field?
I'm terrified by the prospect because I overrate my fielding because I think I'm really good, but I'm not. I'm not Beth Mooney. I know that, so I've just got to put myself in not the hot spots. But yeah, we'll keep progressing and hopefully I can play a part because there's not a lot of cricket between now and the Ashes, and so if I can get a hit out there, that'd be great.
Deep point, maybe.
No deep. It'll be first slip for 49 overs. Whoever's bowling, they're having a slip because I'm not running.
At what point, though, like at this point of your career, does it become a little bit stressful when situations arise physically and you want to be part of this?
Yeah.
Like, who wouldn't want to be part of an Ashes series that's forthcoming? Or is it, it'll be what it'll be because I'm experienced?
Yeah, I think there's an element of stress to it, but at the same time, I'm really blessed that I can play multiple roles for the side, and I'm really lucky in that regard that hopefully if I can play a role, it might be with the bat first, and then we kind of manage it from there. We've also got incredible depth within our squad that if something does go wrong, something blows up again, that and I need an extra day off, that we've got the coverage there. So yeah, I think that the stress side of it is probably removed in that regard, but I want to be a part of everything, and sort of later in my career, I kind of still want to be playing as much cricket as I can, but unfortunately my body's saying no.
At the moment. You will be back for this New Zealand tour, so December 19, 21, 23.
Yep.
You're very busy at the moment. The rest of the squad's in Perth. They're going to reconvene and then go to New Zealand, which brings me to the point of, have you got your Christmas shopping done?
No.
And when are you going to be able? Is it something that's going to be duty-free on the way back up to New Zealand?
Quite potentially. I think there's a rest day in Wellington that Wellington's going to get taken down with me. I might have to take an extra bag to bring it all back. But fortunately, we have a very great family around us that know that we're busy at this time of year. And when we finally celebrate Christmas in about April, they get their presents then. So I've really got 3 or 4 months to shop. That's fine.
For gift vouchers.
I get all the Boxing Day sales.
Yeah, exactly. So is Mitch easy to buy for and vice versa?
He's useless. This year, we quite often don't want anything because we're both very resourceful and just go and get what we need. But this year I've actually said, let's open something on Christmas Day. So I've given him some options for me that I wanted. He hasn't reciprocated, so I don't know. Okay,
what we're doing now on Willow Talk is putting it out to our listeners. DM us on Instagram and TikTok, if you've heard of it, about what Mitch Starc you could get him for his for Christmas. He's not Jesus Christ. He's for Christmas, not his birthday. Yeah. Okay.
That would be ideal, please. and
Yeah.
I'll make sure I pick it up on the way back home.
Give Heels some help for Christmas. Let us know on TikTok and Instagram DMs what Mitch Stark can get under the tree.
Yeah,
you
steer clear of socks and undies because he's got plenty, but
Okay.
any other ideas would be great. Thank you.
Golf balls.
Yeah.
There you go. Off to a quick drinks break here on Willow Talk. Back in a sec to talk BBL. It's starting this weekend, and Heels is going to choose her team of the tournament. We'll also talk about those amazing finishes to the Shield games early in the week. Sundries, shout out. Plenty more to come. Season 14 of the Big Bash League starts on Sunday night. Perth Scorchers host the Melbourne Stars in Perth. Perfect way to cap off day 2 of the test match at the Gabba going into this one. Brisbane Heat are the defending champions. Sydney Thunder looking to avoid consecutive wooden spoons. They've got Davey Warner in their midst, and they've got a few other talented players. So always a bit of guesswork about what's going to happen like in a WBBL season with a BBL season. We're going to go through them quick fire questions, one team by one, some key questions about each team. Adelaide Strikers, how are they going to play under Tim Payne?
Well, yeah, I like Payne as a coach. He's quite laid back, very fun. So, and I feel like that's when the Strikers play well. So, I think they'll go well.
Brisbane Heat, new coach, Johan Bota. So, can they repeat with the new coach?
Oh, not having a crack at the coach, but no, I think winning back-to-back years is hard. So, I'm going to go with no.
No, you are having a crack at the coach.
No, I love Johan. He's a great fella. Runs way too much for my liking. We can't be friends, but
Is he
really
still
nice
like
guy.
63 kilos and looks like he could run across Australia?
He's a very good athlete. Yep.
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot to talk about when we're stuck in the lift together because I don't want to talk about running. But I think winning back-to-back is really hard. So a little bit of change in their squad as well. So it could be interesting to watch.
Hobart Hurricanes. Obviously, we could ask a question about the cricket, but we're going to talk about around the cricket. Matthew Wade, can he avoid a sanction as skipper this season?
No,
He
he's
can't
for
always-
sure going to get He's for sure going to get a demerit point or two. Yeah.
Jake Fraser-McGurk, Melbourne Renegades. Can Cameron White get the best out of the Rooster?
Yes, without spilling the beans on my team, but he might be in it. I think he's primed for a big season.
Yeah, Heels' team of the tournament around the corner. What about Glenn Maxwell? Can he lead the Melbourne Stars back to the finals for the first time in 5 seasons? I reckon if they miss the finals this season, they've got to change their name. They can't be the Stars anymore.
Well, Marcus Stoinis is going to captain, so that'll be an interesting shift. I think that might take pressure off Maxi. So in regards to your question, yes, I think Maxwell could lead the Stars back to the finals, but Marcus will be doing the coin toss.
Perth Scorchers. Hungrier now. They're not the hunted. Obviously, they've had great success over many years.
Good team. They're just good. It's
Yeah.
annoying. The women are the same. Like, they're just always really solid and they're hard to beat. But, yeah, it's a relieving feeling not being the hunted, so I reckon they'll go well again.
What do the Sydney Sixers need to do to go one step better?
Probably win that last game.
That's a good point. Win the final.
I reckon they'll, once again, another one of those annoying teams which I love, which is just solid. Every time you look at it, you're like, yep, that's a really good team. I think they will go one better this year. I think they're primed for a win, especially with some of the signings.
Yeah, they've finished second on the table all of the last 3 years. And Sydney Thunder, what kind of impact will David Warner have as skipper?
A rather large impact on that group. I think more from an external perspective. There'll be a lot of extra around the Sydney Thunder, which I think might actually do them some good. There's always chat about Sydney Sixers in Sydney, so Sydney Thunder sort of puffing their chest out this year will be quite good to watch. Okay,
predictions. Geez, we're getting our pound of flesh today out of you. You're doing a team of the tournament, and I want these answers, okay? Because we're going to hold you to them.
Come on.
Hads has done masterfully well to avoid this episode, so he doesn't have to give all these predictions. Who is going up this year
As
of
in
the
like
teams?
the tables.
Yeah,
Right.
of the table.
I'm going to go Melbourne Renegades are going to go up.
Okay, finished 7th last year. Who's going
Down.
the other way?
Brisbane Heat. I've already just said that out loud.
Okay, young gun to watch.
Ooh. Well, Jake Fraser-McGurk springs to mind, but I'm going to go Jacob Bethel, the English player. I think he's going to have an outstanding year.
Well, he could be your answer for this one. Import of the year.
No, Akil Hussain.
Yeah.
For the Sixers. Really good get.
Finalists?
Sixers.
Are you contractually obligated
Thunder.
to say that?
Sixers Thunder.
A Sydney
I'm going to go an all Sydney final. How good would that be?
final.
Yep.
Shout out to the rest of the country who accuse us of being New South Wales bias. Sorry, guys. Wasn't my answer. Okay. With Hads away, we can't do our BBL draft like this year,
Thanks,
last
Hads.
year. So this year, you're just going to pick a team of the tournament.
Mm.
We're going to compare it to the official team of the tournament at the end of the competition and use Supercoach fantasy points to decide which team was better.
Mm.
And I will say, if you go close to team of the tournament, I reckon going close would be 6 of the 12, getting half right in the team of the tournament.
Okay.
I would value that as a success.
Okay.
Or would you go higher? You want 12 out of 12?
Well, I'd go for 12. I mean, why strive for half?
That's why you're the elite athlete, and I ain't. Okay, 1 to 12.
Yep.
Run us through your team of the tournament.
Team of the tournament, I'm going Matt Short, Jake Fraser-McGurk,
Mm-hmm.
Josh Inglis,
Yep.
Jacob Bethel, Marcus Stoinis, Jack Edwards,
Jack Edwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Akil Hussain, Aaron Hardy, Sean Abbott, Spencer Johnson, Adam Zampa. Didn't forget about him.
Zamps.
And
Mm.
12th, I've gone Nick Maddinson.
Ah, Nick Maddo.
Yeah.
Yes. Who's Maddo playing for?
Thunder.
He's Thunder. Okay. How many sixes there? There's only 2 sixes.
3 sixes.
3 sixes.
3
Sorry,
sixes
yeah,
in there.
A quarter of the
I think
team.
they're going to go well,
That's
but
about fair.
the ones outside of the sixes always have decent seasons, and I hope I just haven't put the Mozza on them.
And again, with IPL, we always go back to it, but they're not absolutely locked in, all these squads in the IPL. One of those 12 who missed out on the draft, they light it up. Anyone in the competition lights it up, and all of a sudden they go on the radar. So
Yeah, not just IPL, but the rest of the winter as well. There's obviously a tournament in America and CPL and all that stuff. So, no, I'm looking forward to this BBL, just knowing what the WBBL had this season and how tight that was, and watching the BBL over the last few seasons. I know like the Thunder finished bottom and whatnot, but it's always such a good contest every single game. So I'm looking forward to watching it.
yeah, good stuff. So that was Hills' team of the tournament. We'll put it up on social media as well and hold her to it.
I'm sure I'll get some feedback.
Okay.
Yep.
Hold it. I again, 6 out of 12.
Right.
You're probably putting yourself at 9 out of 12 that you want. So
Yep.
see how you go. Incidentally, did you see that story you mentioned, the 100 there, about the ECB saying to their players, there's been a blow up, and basically a lot of the players are like, well, we're not going to play the 100 if you're going to hold us to being involved in that, if you won't let us go off and play other franchise cricket. So,
Ooh.
yeah, watch this space with that particular yarn, because this, and it could happen here, it could happen in any of the bigger nations around the world, apart from India, of course, because everything revolves around the IPL, about limiting players and what they can and can't do.
Yep.
This is the latest case. So see what the ECB come up with.
Interesting.
And if players get banned for Ashes, for instance, for not making themselves available for other things,
Won't
like
happen.
the 100. No, it wouldn't.
It won't
I don't think Brendan McCullum would be too happy somehow. Shield cricket. So this was extraordinary early in the week. It was happening while we were recording our previous episode, so we didn't touch on it there. That's why we're touching on it here. South Australia beat Tasmania by 2 runs in the final ball of the game, chasing 429 to win at Bellerive. Tassie were all but home. 6 for 422. Needed 7 off the final 9 balls of the match, but somehow lost. They lost 4 for 4 in 10 balls. And then off the last ball, Lawrence Neil-Smith squeezed a Wes Agar Yorker to the offside, took off. Number 11, Riley Meredith, came back for a suicidal second run and was run out to lose by 2. What do you make of that? I've watched it 3 times and still can't quite comprehend what I watched.
No, the only thing I could think of at the time was they didn't want to draw. But
do you like that?
yeah, I kind of like that he went for it, because he's like, if you push that run and all of a sudden the keeper has a fumble, you could get that third one. So I kind of liked that. But then it's just made him look a little bit silly at the end of the day, which I feel sorry for him. But what an amazing finish.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a good one at the SCG as well. New South Wales beat WA by an innings and 68 runs. So big margin between the two, but it's how it happened. Entering the final day, 258 runs behind, WA dug in and got to tea with 6 wickets in hand. But New South Wales captain Jack Edwards sparked a collapse, 4 for 7. When the 9th wicket fell, WA had 53 balls to survive. Friend of the show, Corey Roccaccioli, edged Jack Edwards looking to leave the ball after getting through 39 of those 53 balls. Edwards 10 for the match, 541 in each innings. New South Wales won and went off their brains.
Yeah, good. Well, I mean, there's all this conversation about Test cricket and it's dying and all this, and then it keeps rearing its head every time there's a great Test match, i.e. In Adelaide. But you look at Shield cricket and that's sort of the breeding ground of our Test players, and there's 2 amazing games in the space of a week. So the red ball game is definitely alive and well, thriving, and players want to be a part of it, which is really cool. And most importantly, Jack Edwards having an outstanding game. Curtis Patterson as well, scoring a century for, I think there's like 794 days or 1,000 days or something in between. So that was really cool to see. So I love seeing the Shield results and what's happening around the country, and to see young guys, but also old guys that have been around a little while still doing amazing things is great.
And the key there is pushing for results,
Yeah.
not being satisfied with, well, this will just eke towards a draw and we'll all go home and without losing anything. Yeah, there's progressiveness behind the chasing of a game, or even New South Wales knowing that WA were just, it's a blockathon, but finding a way to make breakthroughs when it was key.
It's hard to think about when there's so much on the line, like about winning, like within organisations. So sometimes you think maybe holding on for a draw might look better than a loss, but that's not the way that the international game's being played at the moment. It's wins and losses. There's not a lot of draws in Test cricket, which is great. So I think it's the way that we should approach it at the domestic level, and we're seeing that unfold, which is cool.
To Sundries, South Africa sweep Sri Lanka. It means South Africa need to win just one of their final 2 tests against Pakistan at home this month to qualify for the World Test Championship final, which will be held in the UK in the middle of 2025. Now, if Australia win 2 of their next 3 tests against India, they'll be in, even if they lose both tests in Sri Lanka.
You know what? I haven't really been across who's qualifying here, and I knew South Africa sort of came out of the blue a little bit. But how good would a South Africa-Australia final be in England? But
yeah, that's right.
Spicy.
Have you been to West London?
Do they play that game with the Duke? Or is it Kookaburra?
Not sure, actually. That's a very good question for producer Sam, and he can sort that while we just pretend to
Because that
fill
would just
some
be
air. And
chaos. I wonder what, if that was a Duke ball, Australia v South Africa, with the 2 bowling attacks that they've got.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
2-day test?
Well, yeah, I'd rather see it in like here or in South Africa. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
We haven't seen them for a while.
They have to lock in that venue. I mean, last time they were in this part of the world, they sent their C team to New Zealand, so it's remarkable they've gone through that result in this World Test Championship cycle and ended up in the final. So well done, South Africa. Hopefully it is South Africa, Australia in that final. Now, here's a question for you. The Fab Four in men's cricket with the bat. So it has been Steve Smith, Joe Root, Virat Kohli and Kane Williamson. Feels like it's, and this is just sport, coming to an end.
Yep.
So generational change. So out of these names, Jaiswal, Brook, Stubbs, Mendes, Ravindra, Gill, who is the most entertaining young player to watch in cricket?
If you're going to throw those names at me, Harry Brook. I mean, I feel like I roll my eyes every time he makes 100, but it's always entertaining because he's saving England from trouble, or he's cashing in on a good start. I mean, watching that game at Wellington, he played missed 4 on the trot to poor old Nathan Smith, who he's bowling really well, the young guy, and played miss at 4, then decided to step outside leg 2 steps down the wicket, hit him for 6 over cover when they're 4 for 30, and I just like shook my head and thought, this guy's a freak. He's already got more, I think, overseas hundreds than David Warner. From what I read. So I think he's the most entertaining out of that group. But I will say someone like Tristan Stubbs has been amazing to see his emergence. Obviously came through the white ball game, but to see him play Test cricket for South Africa has been amazing to watch. Serious athlete. So it's a good crew. But Harry Brook's probably the most entertaining out of that.
What about from the 3 I'm about to mention? And I'll give you a scenario here. You've got some chores to do at home. They're boring, but they have to be done. But the cricket's on.
Yep.
And you've broken away from the cricket to go and do that chore, but then you hear one of these 3 batters is coming to the crease.
Yep.
Which one is making you down tools and rush to the television? Harry Brook, Rishabh Pant, Travis Head.
Oh, Rishabh Pant. because I think he's going to do something from ball one. I feel like Harry and Travis will just sort of have a look. Travis is probably just going to slap it through point anyway. You know what's going to unfold, but Rishabh Pant could decide to reverse pull you over the slips cord and first ball for 6, whatever it might look like. So,
or dance down the wicket and smash one over cover.
Yeah,
like he did in Adelaide.
Yep.
So some stats about these guys, about what they are. Harry Brooks got a strike rate of 89.
It's pretty cool
in Test matches. He's got 1 duck in his Test match career, which is extraordinary. And that was when he was run out against New Zealand. But 23 Tests, average of 61. 53% of his runs have come in boundaries. Rishabh Pant, 59% of his runs have come in boundaries. Test average 42, strike rate 74. And Trav, as we mentioned before, since his second coming, if you like, his strike rate's 80. Overall, at 66. He averages mid-40s. 53% of his runs in boundaries. Interestingly enough, with Trav, 30 of his 31 sixes in Test cricket have come after he's come back into the team.
Yeah,
when he's loosened the shackles. So that's a weird stat. And just to give you context around those boundary stats, like the greats, Virat, Steve Smith, Joe Root, average around 45% of runs in boundaries. So to Rishabh Pant to just, obviously doesn't like running between the wickets, fair enough too, when you're a wicketkeeper. But yeah, it just points to those 3 guys just being box office. And there's probably no real wrong answer to that. You just prefer one over the other.
Yeah, they're all, and there's no secret that they're all coming in sort of batting number 5, I think, for their side. So
or care no responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, you're either coming in like when the team's in trouble and you can turn the game on its head. That's kind of the way that I think all 3 approach it. Or you're coming in on a solid base and you cash in. So it would be interesting to see as they progress through their career if their positioning does change in the team with retirements and whatnot coming. Does Harry Brook move up the order? Does that change things? As Travis said, move up the order. Does that change things? But I think for now, let's just enjoy what they're doing.
Absolutely. Shout-outs. A couple of shout-outs to end us here, Heels, today. Stephen asks, who has had the least luck with timing of their career, Stuart McGill or Scotty Boland? Both outstanding players, but have had generational talents to compete with. Or can you think of any other players that have had similar luck? Well, I'll throw in Michael Neser to get in the team. Yep. Full stop. But Scotty Boland's had a few chances. But out of those 2, Boland, McGill?
Scotty Boland. I mean, stiff.
Very.
Although, in saying that, Stuart McGill, obviously, there's only one spot, right? And generally as a spinner, so that's been tough. Whereas Scott Boland could take 3 of the spots. Yeah. So maybe Stuart McGill has been a bit more unlucky.
You would have thought, though, with Scotty Boland, more chances would have presented themselves.
That's what I mean, yeah. But just haven't. Those 3 have been so remarkably resilient. But I feel like, you're right. I think Nees has been probably the unluckiest. Because every time there is an opportunity, does a hammy or whatever, and he just doesn't quite get there. It's a shame.
Now, Noel asks, my 7-year-old son Isaac wants to play for the Hurricanes or Renegades and Australia. Geez, Isaac's narrowed his path to greatness, hasn't he?
Try the 6s, Isaac.
Very specific. He wants to be a bowler who bats a bit, a la Brett Lee. Now, would that path as a partial all-rounder give a kid more opportunities rather than a keeper with limited opportunities?
No.
No?
No. Being a keeper, there's limitless opportunities. I mean, you can also be a fielder, you can be a batter.
Like you will be in
New Zealand. You can bowl spin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
are you going to bowl, by the way?
Bowl seam up. Well, Phoebe Litchfield has asked for a bowl because she bowls the wrong foot stuff like Smriti Mandana did in the ODI when they basically given up the other day. And she said, I can do that if we need. And I said, Phoebe, if you get a bowl before me in international cricket, I'm retiring. That's just not fair. But no, funnily enough, the game's changing again in that when T20 cricket first came about, all-rounders were the golden whatever you want to call it, the nugget. But I feel like role specificity now is almost more important. People want a genuine batter. People want a genuine bowler. People want the spinner. The all-rounder ability might help, but to be honest with you, you're 7. Just go and enjoy it.
Good advice.
Yeah.
There you go, Noel. Thank you for the question and the shout-out. Stephen, thank you for the shout-out. Heels, that's us for Willow Talk. Good luck in New Zealand.
Thanks.
With the Christmas shopping and the cricket.
Thank you.
Both, as much as each other, and enjoy the 3rd test.
Sounds good. You too.
I will. Thanks for listening to Willow Talk. Don't forget, they'll be back with daily wraps throughout the course of the 3rd test in Brisbane, and we'll be back with more regular Willow Talk when the time is fitting. Yeah, thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.